I got wiser advisor stuff for you here. Here it is, family before government. That's kind of the battle cry for freedom, family before government. The government doesn't want to have a family anymore. Doesn't want you to have a family. They want to be your family. Bad stuff. Portland, the policeman here recently, there was a shooting and they shot a bad guy in the back. And they thought he was black and everybody was distraught. And finally the policeman goes up and says, calm down everyone. It's okay, the man we shot is white. You can't make this up. I mean, really? It's open season on white folk and nobody else? Bad stuff. Here's a story out of Richmond, British Columbia, which is a part of Vancouver. It's crazy. And it's crazy sad, crazy mad. It's about a woman who can't get protection. There's a man who stalks her, and it's against the law for her to protect herself with a tool of any kind. I mean, she should be able to go get training. And a good friend of mine, a woman in America, she had a bad thing happened many years ago in her own home. She was abducted and held hostage for many days. After this happened and he was sentenced to prison only for a couple of years, she went out and she learned how to shoot a gun, and she carried a gun, and guess what? It never happened again to her. Nothing bad. And that's another story another day, because there is a lot more to that story, but in Canada it's against the law to do that. Here's a woman, she sleeps with a hammer under her pillow, not knowing if tonight is a night that I got to protect my family. I have to defend my family against this crazy person. She's a single mom. Her name is, I won't say it correctly, Cosima Mayer. And she lives in fear of this one man who's a stranger. And no one knows why he's doing what he does. He showed up at her house like many, many times, I think a dozen times, multiple for sure. And on the 10th time he was there trying to get into the house. 10th time the police came yet again. But the police said, hey, you know what? Just don't go home. Really? That's all you got? Don't go home? Good grief. The Richmond RCMP's mental health unit had assessed this man previously, and they said, he's not a danger to anyone or himself. He's just a nuisance. It'll be okay. I don't think that's okay when your freedom is kind of taken away from you that way. And the RCMP now, though, they say everything is going to be okay. We've created a safety plan, and that safety plan means that you should phone 911. You know what? Would you rather have a cop on the phone or a gun in your hand? This woman needs to have the right to defend her life. She's a single mom. Even if she wasn't single, she had a couple of men in the house, it wouldn't matter. You should have that right. Do not vote Liberal ever again. Ever. Even conservatives, they've been in power. And they didn't fix this either. I mean, you should be able to have a gun, a real gun. If you don't want to kill anybody, potentially have a gun with rubber bullets in it. If you don't want to do that, have a slingshot. Do something. But if you use a slingshot in Canada, you'd be breaking the law because you're not supposed to defend yourself. And there's a lot of stories like this. Some politician needs to grab this, package it up. I mean, like I think every 16 or 17 seconds in Canada, there's a sexual assault against women. Like package it up and get their votes and make it happen and protect the rights of your citizens. Good bloody grief. And now you got the prime mistake in Canada. He's now appointed this man, Henry Kim. He's been chosen to be the CEO of the Canadian Museum of History. Well, this guy has his own museum. It's about the history of Muslims. He's a Muslim. He ain't a Canadian in the normal sense. I mean, this is multiculturalism. I guess this is globalization. That Trudeau, he's a bad, bad hombre. He's totally destroying the country. He says, I want to get rid of all you European stock people because you're bad. And what does this guy know about Canadian history? Canadian history isn't about Muslims. Canadian history is European stock. Trudeau just hates us. He hates white people. And if you're a Christian and if you're white and if you're a male, and if you're right wing, and you have your own mind, good luck with that. O'Toole, he says, you know what? I'm going to win. I'm going to hit Trudeau where it hurts, his ethics. Well, firstly, you can't hit something that doesn't exist. And secondly, the press, he owns the press. So that's kind of a bad thing to go after his ethics because nobody cares. You need to do something else. You need to tell, let me be your campaign manager for just the next 30 seconds, O'Toole. Get with the program, come out of the ether, wake up. What you need to do is say, like me, I'm going to give you rights. It's your right. We don't have the right to take your rights away, and we've done that. Oh, by the way, all you women who can't defend your life, we're going to have various courses here for all the way up to a gun. We're going to start with a slingshot, and you should have that right to own slingshot and pepper spray and mace and so on. talk about something else, term limits and a variety of other things. We're going to sell assets, pay down the debt. Get with the people instead of trying to do this narrative that nobody cares about anymore. Two more Catholic churches, a total of 4 now, have burned down on Indian land in British Columbia on reserves. And these are Catholic churches. Of course, they're the bad guys, the priests. Those priests, it was a hideout for pedophiles. They're terrible people. The Pope and all those other people that run the church should be so far in jail, you got to feed them with a slingshot. I mean, and when they got caught years ago, they got a raise, a new parish, and 3 months off. It's a bad thing. 4 churches have burned down, Catholic churches. Most of them are like 100 years old. Do I weep? It's tough to weep. I mean, no one should be in favor of this kind of vigilante stuff, and I understand that, but it's hard to weep when there's been so many wrongs committed by so few, and they were allowed to continue. And to this day, a lot of them are continuing. So I ain't a big fan of that, and of the Catholic priest people. Pedophiles, they should all be tortured first and then hung. Hey, y'all come back tomorrow. See ya.